All right, guys. Let's get into this market. So, I do a lot of hyper scalping and scalping these days. So, I guess it kind of diminishes slowly the importance of a higher time frame bias, but it helps with my nerves, honestly, and I guess it's something I like to do because it's been a habit of my trading style for a while. So yeah, starting off with the dollar, the reason I always look at the dollar is because, I mean, at the end of the day, if DXY is showing bullishness, you know, typically that means that metals and indices are bearish, you know, bullish. And if DXY is bearish, typically indices and metals are bullish, right? So I come to a conclusion as to what seems like it's looking for, and kind of go with the opposite on the others. Now, whenever there's situations where dollar and indices are actually trending in the same direction, usually there's some type of political unrest, or we're actually in an area where we're likely to see a reversal in the trend. So that's typically what we'll start to see first. As kind of like a crack and showing manipulation. But for the most part, it's pretty easy to kind of just have them going the opposite direction, right? So, with that being said, I've already done kind of like my in-depth analysis, but I will say I always mark out last month's open and this month's open. So we'll say that was the open of June. This here is the open of July. So we can see here, dollar is actually about to drop below the price of the lowest price we've seen in June, and I consider that to be a key level, right? So that right there is a key level. It is the low of June. So I believe dollar will definitely continue to make its way to that low. We are bearish so far this year. This month, I'm sorry, on dollar, right? We've only been bearish. We haven't done anything else, which seems a little bit manipulative to me. Um, and I'm overall expecting bullishness on dollar, but hey, DXY has been consolidating for over a year, right? It's been almost 2 years now. We've just been going back and forth in the same range. Doesn't really matter who's a buyer and who's a bear right now. Okay, we're just getting a lot of chop. But considering this entire back and forth, if we go from the highest point of the last year to the lowest point, and I only use the candle bodies, if we go ahead and measure, we're actually at the equilibrium of this consolidation, right? We're at the middle of it. So two things happen at the equilibrium. We can expect just getting to it. Sometimes we'll see a lot consolidation, accumulation, right? You can see here, drop, consolidates for a few days, right? This was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just literally 3 days of sitting in the same area. Same thing here, right? They came up to it, stayed in the same place Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, not really a lot of movement. And then you get a little manipulation higher and they drop right back into it. And then here, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, again, sitting in the same place before they actually continue. Same thing here, right? So at this equilibrium, typically when we hit it for the first time, we can, in the past, see that the price tends to stagnate a bit. So maybe we actually see that, right? Don't want to be too much in a rush. However, I'm expecting for them to go ahead and definitely take this price here from the low of June. Also, not too far away is the lowest price here, right? This was April 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, right? So 4th and 9th of April here, we have the lowest prices of April. So I'm actually just going to put these two on the same line and say these are the lows of June and April. So that's a magnet to me right now, right? That is kind of what I think is going to be drawing their attention. And, we can also keep in mind that not too far off, we have the lowest prices of March, right? So we have March's lows. So if we get below these lows and it looks like price is just going to continue bearish, we see no signs of reversal, then I would assume that they want to get down here. But I'm expecting below one of these levels here to see accumulation on dollar, right? Some type of consolidation, right? And then breaks in structure to the upside, right? That's what I'm expecting from either this level or the next level, right? So we'll see, right? But that's the thought on dollar. So right now, bearish dollar, and my thought would be bearish for the week, especially until we get to one of these two levels and show willingness to go the opposite direction. Now, other than the dollar, I do look at the bonds market. And I typically expect for indices to go in the same direction of the bonds market. And it's not even just a technical thing either. For me, the bonds market is a sign, a signature of where big money or governmental institutional money is siding their money right now. And clearly we see a drop off in dollars, so less risk off, aka savings in the dollar, and more risk on, putting money into investments such as these bonds, indices, stuff like that. So just without confusing people who aren't used to me looking at the bonds market, I consider that they're continuing higher, right? And if they're going to continue higher, and this shows bullish, then for right now, most likely we'll see continued strength on assets, commodities, indices. All right. I use silver as my edge in the market. One of my the components to my edge is a heavy dependency on intermarket analysis, right? I like to compare markets to each other. And base my conclusions off of, what similar markets and markets that have positive correlation, what they're doing with each other. So that is, that's, why I'm looking at silver, because I trade gold. I trade NASDAQ and I trade gold. So looking at silver, I do see continued bullishness here on silver. We have the highs of the year not too far off over here, right? Highs of the year and the highs of May. Recently, we traded over the highs of June. Just keep in mind, though, interesting thing about silver here is we all recently just took these highs of 2020, and for about 3 weeks now, for about 3 weeks now, we've kind of been, going back and forth here, hesitating, accumulating above these highs. Anybody knows anything about how I trade, accumulation above highs is a little bit suspicious. But I'm not going to try to call a top yet, right? Maybe they do, actually just want to continue higher. So I see this here as a key level, right? We have a weekly imbalance here, weekly fair value gap. And in that same area, previous yearly high, the high of 2020. So could definitely see them drop into that, get some rejection, and then we see continued bullishness. However, keep in mind, if we do see some sort of move where they head above these highs of June again, or even up to those highs of the year, and then we get some type of a drop and they close below this same level, I will be fully bearish on silver and most likely believing, that gold is going to be putting in top soon and heading the other direction. So for right now, we'll use that as a support. I'll use that level as a support. Any levels in here, I'll assume that they're accumulating to go bullish because the market is bullish right now. So until it changes, I won't be trying to catch the top. And as long as they are showing bullishness from these levels right here, I will be looking for continued bullishness on her lady gold, right? And so gold is actually a completely different situation from silver because gold is at all-time highs, right? Gold is just continuing to go higher and higher and higher than ever it has been before. We've never had a time where gold was above 2,400 ounces, 2,400 US dollars per ounce. All right, so that is what this price represents. And for me on gold, only thing I can say is we're bullish. We're continuing bullish until they show me otherwise. I do like this potential formation here. All right, I'm not gonna go too in detail with it, but this is a flag pattern. Right, most traders would see this as a market continues higher, consolidates lower, and then continues higher. But I don't know, it seems to me potentially, this could be a manipulation to form a flag pattern and then run out the high and then actually continue to fall, right? You see here that pretty much since May 21st, we did have a bearish dollar, right? We had a lower low, gold, sorry, not dollar, right? We had lower lows here, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and then we got a shift in structure, all right? So when you look at this weekly time frame, gold actually broke structure a bit here, right? We have higher highs and higher lows forever. And then here, we actually got a lower low, right? I know this low is not lower than the wick, right? But the majority of volume is in the body. So like, let's say the body is here and then these bodies actually closed lower. So there was more conviction on price lower here than here, okay? So we have lower lows here, and now they're rushing back up. Now, for me, when looking to see a top form or reversals come in, I wait for price to get above a old high, right? And then once they get above that old high, right? So for an example here, say that in my little, say that we zoom in on this area right here, right? Inside of them taking this high, all right, I want to see this happen. I want to see them get to that high, and then I want to see them and then give a lower low from that high, and then run back up, touch that high one more time, and then give another lower low. And that is when I believe that the high is in and we can actually continue to take a reversal. That is actually what I look for on a lower time frame to take my entry setups, and it is the formation that I look to see at key levels so that I can confirm a reversal is coming. So for right now, we'll stick with them on the moves higher, but just keep in mind, we did get a lower low here. And if I see potential bearishness from these highs, these all-time highs, I will actually be more confident in calling the top, right? Now, we do have a daily imbalance here on gold from last week's price action from Thursday and Friday, right? We had massive bullishness, and then we have this imbalance here. And if I go down to a lower time frame, that is also Friday's low. So, would be interesting to see them actually run out the lows of Friday and then look for bullishness, right, to take us up and continue this uptrend. Also, just looking at the range from this high down to this low, from up here down to here, right? And I like to use the bodies of the candle, so we'll say here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me actually correct myself. First of all, we have the highs of June over here, right? So these are the highs of June, okay, that red line. And also, if I measure last week's price action, all right, this Monday is going to be midnight. We'll count that as the official start of Monday. And from the high of last week, right, this is Friday's high. You can see down there, this is Friday's high. From high of Friday down to the low, that red line is the equilibrium price of last week. So that would be a key level as well. So we got some confluence here. So I will pay attention for potential bullishness on gold from this daily fair value gap. So I'll be waiting for that. We can go ahead and put an alert right there. Potential. I think a friend of mine actually sent a similar chart, so be confident in that. And last but not least, we have NASDAQ, and she's just super bullish, man. It's not really much to say. NASDAQ's at all-time highs. Of course, I'm contrarian, love to try to catch a top or a bottom, but I've learned my lessons from that, and I know when it's time to do that. All right, so for right now, again, just continuing to look for bullishness here on NASDAQ. We have the lows of last week to pay attention to. If we get a drop below these lows from last week, we'll look for potential bullishness from those lows. But this is also starting to look a little, they're trying to start sneaking in some selling pressure. You see this some selling power, whatever. You see this big drop down that occurred on Thursday with CPI. I wouldn't be surprised to actually see them run that high one more time, just like I broke down on gold. And then maybe we could talk about seeing how aggressive they are for potential sells. But for right now, just looking at the high to the low of this month so far, they just literally came down right to that halfway point of the lowest point to the highest point of the month so far. I think that was really convenient that they dropped down to that level and bounced, and then we, have bounced and continued up higher right now. So, it would be interesting to actually see them drop back to that one more time, or maybe even take this low, and then, bring in a lot of people who are looking to be potential sellers that the market is going to continue lower, and that would be a great place for buyers to come in again and take advantage of those potential sellers. I mean, for right now, that's what I see. That's what I'm going to be paying attention to this week in the market. If you guys are already, tuned in with my private community and with my community with our course, then you already know what's going on. If you don't, then definitely check the link in my description or comment if you want access to my free course where I kind of, explain and teach how it is that I trade futures and, make a living doing this. So with that being said, man, that was great as far as our outlook goes. That's what I'm looking for. Exciting.